Wonderhussy here, lurking in the lee of an old abandoned building on an exceptionally blustery day in beautiful Utah. Okay, it's really windy and really nasty today, but I wanted to stop here anyway and shoot a video because this is a really interesting and well-known ghost town called Furtive, Utah. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Cisco, Utah, and it's really well known for one main reason. Okay, I guess the history of this town goes back to the 1880s when the train came through here. And in fact, the train does still come through here. As a matter of fact, when I rode the train from San Francisco to Denver a few weeks ago with my friend Bob, we went right past this ghost town, and Bob pointed it out to me through the window. But I didn't really know what he was talking about. There was a lot going on that train trip. But I'm back here again with Mumford. And Mumford just gave me some really interesting intel on this Cisco, Utah. Okay, if you've ever heard of Cisco, it's probably because this artist chick bought the ghost town back in, oh gosh, I think 2015. This hipster artist woman from Chicago was flying out to visit Moab. She was going to go to Canyonlands and all the beautiful national parks out there. And I guess the person sitting next to her on the airplane was like, oh, well, you should check out the ghost town of Cisco. And this woman was from Chicago. You know, what does she know about Western ghost towns? But she took her seatmate's advice and she came out here to check out this ghost town, and she fell in love with it to the point that she went ahead and paid for it right then and there. I think she bought the ghost town and moved out here all by herself. Okay, wait, Mumford said that's not right. What happened?
She had to write the owner a letter to see if she could buy it, and then they got back to her and said, okay, you can buy it.
Oh, okay, thanks for clearing that up. So apparently she had to look up the person who owned the property and then send him a letter. Whatever the case, she ended up buying this ghost town, and she did. She lived out here all by herself, and she turned it into this kind of funky artists colony. And I guess you could pay her to come stay out here. Oh, golly! It's so friggin' windy! And it's a real friggin' bummer because this is actually a really interesting roadside tourist attraction. It's right off I-70. Look, you can see there's the train tracks that I took the California Zephyr on a few weeks ago. And just beyond that is Interstate 70. So this is a quick stop. Get out, stretch your legs, with some amazing photo ops. Look at this. They got the front end of an old Cadillac and the whole back of an old Cadillac. And you can sit on this bench and pretend like you're driving it. How cool is this? Woo-hoo! Look at that. All kinds of people have been here and taken photos at this old Cadillac photo op. You can see there's stickers here from people from probably all over the world. I think this is a pretty well-known roadside attraction and ghost town. So much so, oh look, there's a donation box. There's even a visitor's log. Look at that. There's an ammo can or fishing tackle box that I guess you're supposed to sign the notebook and let them know you were here. Now it's real windy. It's going to be hard to look here, but I'm curious. Look at that. It was a 1963 Cadillac sedan DeVille that was placed here in 2023. It's a tribute to the Great American Road Trip, which makes sense because not only are we right off I-70, but they also filmed some scenes for the movie Vanishing Point here. If you guys have ever seen that movie Vanishing Point, I haven't, but I've had a bunch of people tell me I should because they filmed scenes here in Cisco, but also in places like Goldfield, Nevada, and Tonopah, Nevada. I think places that I've been in my videos. So I got to check out this movie Vanishing Point. I was reading about it last night. Apparently it's about a guy who is paid to deliver cars cross country, long distance, and he has to bring this, I think it's like a Charger, a Dodge Charger from Denver to San Francisco, and he has like a certain amount of time to do it. And so he goes to some biker bar and takes a bunch of speed, and then the whole movie is him having these crazy adventures with all these random people that he meets along the way while driving this Charger at great speeds on speed. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see who the last person here to sign this book was. Oh, it looks like there were some people here from Vancouver Island. How about that? Oh gosh, it's so windy. I can hardly even look at the pages in this book. But the last person to sign this book was from Aurora, Colorado. And that was on the 9th, a couple days ago. So I guess I should sign the dang book, even though it's windy. Just to let them know I was here. Wonderhussy, Death Valley, California. Now they'll know I was here. Okay, I'm gonna put this notebook back in this fishing tackle box before the whole damn mess blows away, and try to go explore some more of this town. Now, that notebook also said that this was placed here like this as a sort of homage to the Cadillac Ranch outside Amarillo. If you've ever been to that iconic Cadillac Ranch, I got a bunch of Cadillacs stuck nose first in the ground, just like this. Only the ones in Texas are covered in graffiti, and this one has not been covered yet. It's pretty cool though. There's a few stickers on the outside, but look at that, you can see right into the cab. Oh man, the window's real dirty. Maybe you can't see. There's a steering wheel and some real crusty old upholstery. Look, they even painted petroglyphs on the roof of it. There's also an old missile. Check this out. Oh, look at that. Some wag put a SpaceX sticker on it, but oh, look at that. All children must be accompanied by an adult. We are not responsible if your child falls off animals. I guess that's artists for you. Oh, look at that. There's a button on it. It says, try me. Ooh, what do you suppose will happen if I hit this button? Maybe it'll make the wind stop. Let's hope. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but that's okay. Listen, I'm here now, and things can't always be perfect. And the history of this place is so interesting that I'm gonna go ahead and walk around anyway and show you guys a few things and tell you what's going on here in the ghost town of Cisco. Okay, the artist who bought the town was named Eileen, and she lived out here all by herself, and she had no experience with building materials or renovating old buildings or living in a ghost town. She's from Chicago. Okay, she was an artist hipster. Apparently she's all tatted up like your classic 2010s hipster. Okay, remember the hipster culture of the 2010s? People in skinny jeans. The guys all had those annoying waxed mustaches. The chicks had a bunch of tattoos, short hair, funky chunky eyeglasses. One of them from the big city. What the hell was she gonna do out here in a town like this? Well, apparently, according to, I think they made a Vice documentary about her, she taught herself how to shore up old buildings using old materials, and she lived out here all alone for a number of years. Okay, I think she lived over here in this little cottage or in that school bus or something, but she also fixed up all these other buildings. I think this was the old post office that at one time was like an Airbnb. You could pay to stay in this tiny little room, and I mean, there's a lot of signs saying no trespassing, tourists, please photograph from the road, which basically means they don't want you going in and poking around any of these buildings. But I mean, you can even see from the road, that's not a very big place to spend the night. But I'll bet you it's pretty cozy in there, just big enough for like a bed and a table and a nightstand. And then there's this really cool outhouse. Look at this outhouse. It's made out of all kinds of old bits and bobs. Looks like the back end of a car. That's that would have been your bathroom. I'm not sure if this is still rentable as an Airbnb, because after living out here for a number of years, I guess she got tired of it. It's hard living out here, man. Like, according to one thing I read online, I'm just gonna go ahead and hunker in the lee of this old, beautiful leather upholstered chair here. I don't know why it's just laying out here in the street, but maybe it'll be a windbreak. Anyway, she lived out here by herself for a number of years, and apparently, according to what I read online, it was so cold here in the winter that she had to set her alarm clock every 2 hours to wake up and put more wood in the wood stove because there's no electricity, and that was the only way she could keep from freezing to death. You know, it's a rough place to live. No electricity, no running water. I guess she had to haul all her own water in, and all this stuff, I guess all this artwork was made out of stuff she found on the property. And you know, it's fun to put together bits and bobs and odds and ends of rusted old crap. But eventually you get tired of the freezing cold winters, the blazing hot summers, and the blasting winds, and you just want to move back to the big city. And let me tell you something, Eileen, if you happen to be watching this video, I 100% understand why you gave up, because I'm in a similar position. Me and my sister just bought one property on the edge of Death Valley, and that's hard enough. I can't imagine trying to maintain all of this all by yourself out in the middle of nowhere. And so she did, apparently recently, sell the place. Look how cool this school bus is. I love the graffiti on the side of this bus. Boy, hopefully the audio is coming out in this. It's so windy. It's two guns. Oh, that's her last name, Musa, M-U-Z-A, Eileen Musa. She's shooting pink, and then there's somebody over here, there's no name on that one, shooting blue, and then it's mixing together in this big cloud of pink and blue in the middle. Oh, maybe that one says Musa because she painted this mural. Well, if she did, good job. That looks amazing. And then look over next to it. Look at all these cool old doors. That's a pretty cool effect. A bunch of funky old doors, pieces of corrugated metal, I guess just sort of like as a windbreak, because it's probably windy out here like this a lot. Look over on that side too. That's cool. It's almost like the rays of the sun coming out made out of old weathered wooden boards. I mean, I give this woman a lot of credit for having the balls to come out here and do what she did in these conditions. So she stuck it out for a number of years, but then she did sell the property, and the story of how she sold it and who she sold it to is maybe even more interesting than the story of her coming out here and living out here by herself. Okay, she had it listed for like $450,000. I think she only really owns this one little section in here. It's like just over 1.5 acres, something like that. Well, she had it listed for $450,000, which you might go, oh wow, what a deal. For $450,000 you get all of this random stuff, including all these murals that she did. I'll zoom in because, again, they want you to photograph from the street only. It says, oh no, you're in Cisco, home of the brave, art residency. I guess that's one of those things where, like, if you're an artist, you can come out here and stay for free and just work on creating your art. I'm not sure how that works with residencies, and then all the art that you create has to stay out here. But in exchange for making all the cool art, you get to live for free? I'm guessing that's what went on here, and she probably had a number of people stay out here over the years and paint all these cool murals. I guess I can walk down this little street here and photograph this. This is some kind of old bus.
Skate park.
Yeah, it's a bus skate park. Look at that, Cisco Kid skate park. So it's an old bus with a badass mural of somebody and a dog, but then there's a skate ramp in front of it. Somebody came out here and concreted this whole skate ramp. I don't know, man. I think that's pretty cool. I know there's like a lot of polarized opinions on these artists, these arty-farty people coming out and buying ghost towns. Like, classic example is Marfa, Texas. There's a lot of animosity towards the artists in Marfa because they bought this old oil town, I guess, and fancied it up with all their fancy pants art and built that fake Prada store out there. If you've ever been to Marfa, there's this random little Prada, high-end designer Prada boutique at the side of this lonely highway in the middle of nowhere, West Texas. Well, I think my understanding is there's a lot of grumbling among the locals out there. Like, man, if you go to other towns in Texas, like Terlingua, I was in Terlingua, Texas once, and I saw a bumper sticker that said, "Don't Marfa my Terlingua." And there's just a lot of hostility on the part of some of these rural areas when these fancy pants artists move in. But I don't know, man. This place was just sitting here rotting away. So I think what she did was actually pretty cool. It takes a lot of balls and a lot of gumption to come out to a place like this and try to make interesting art out of it. Look at this cool gypsy wagon. I wonder if that was a place you could stay if you were an artist in residence out here. I bet it's so cozy in there. Or how about that little teepee? Or how about that blasted out old, what is that, a Firebird? Oh gosh, I don't know. It's so windy that my friggin' hat keeps blowing off my head. But man, I really wanted to stop and check this place out. There's all this weird art. I thought that was gonna spin around, but it doesn't. Anyway, we are in Cisco. If you wanted an art residency here, apparently you could apply by hitting her up at eileenmusa.org. But since she no longer owns this place, I'm gonna guess that that is no longer valid. Oh, look how cool. Somebody made sheriff stars out of old soda can tops. Or, I don't know, beer can tops. That's a fun idea. I think there's actually a lot of cool ideas out here. It makes me feel real lazy that me and my sister never got our act together out in Tacopa, you know? We got all kinds of crazy crap like this. I should have a, look at that, donate. It's an old washer dryer, I guess. Donate. Every bit helps. You know, we need something like this sitting in front of our friggin' compound because we have all these people looky-loos come by to see my compound anyway. Might as well round up a few donations while we're at it. I don't know, I guess it's a different situation though, because this is a roadside attraction, tourist stop, and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people have stopped off here over the years. So much so that I think that's why she had to put up all the no trespassing signs, you know, because there was all kind of tourists wandering around inside all her buildings at all hours of the day and night while she was trying to get stuff done, which I totally get would be kind of annoying. And so I don't begrudge all these no trespassing signs myself at all. There's still plenty of stuff you can poke around out here without pissing anybody off. Oh look, I just realized there's like a big snake or something coming out of that school bus skate park. There's the tail coming out the back, and then there's the head coming out the front. A wooden snake with little creepy teeth. Snakes don't have teeth. Made out of little bits of wood. Man, that is so cool. Look what the eyeball's made out of. Oh wow, it looks like you can actually walk inside that bus. Let's do that, for no other reason than to get out of this blasted wind. Get on the little ramp here, woo, instead of slant, because it's a skate ramp. Lead us right up to the door of this old bus, I guess. Oh wow. Oh my gosh, look. Oh, life isn't chair. Boy, it sure isn't, man. The one day of the year that I happen to be driving by Cisco and it's blasting friggin' windy. Look, little dinosaur. And then look at this boss old TV in a wooden cabinet with a snake painted on it. Man, I really want one of those old televisions in a big wooden cabinet to put a flat screen TV on the front of, or make some kind of art piece out of. I'd climb inside it and make my own TV shows. In fact, that would be a lot of fun. Anybody watching this have one of those big old wooden cabinet TVs that they're not using? Let me know. We'll put it in our Quonset hut and I'll climb inside it and do puppet shows. Wouldn't that be fun? Look, there's the wooden body of the snake coming out the back. That's the tail. And then the front of it is coming. That's the driver's seat of the bus in that little glassed off area. Really interesting idea for an old bus. This place kind of reminds me of Villa Anita, you know, where I live out in Death Valley. They're doing the same kind of thing, just in a different part of the desert. Anyway, like I was saying, she had this place listed. I'm just gonna go ahead and hang out in here because it's too freaking windy outside, and the audio will just get messed up. But she had this place listed for $450,000, and perhaps understandably, she wasn't getting very many offers. I guess she wasn't getting any offers. I mean, who's gonna pay $500,000 for 1.5 acres, I think, is all she owned, with a bunch of random painted old buses and busted cars. So it sat on Redfin or Zillow or whatever for, I think, years. And they dropped the price to like $350,000. And then they dropped the price again. She ended up selling it for $75,000 to another artist chick from Moab. What's up with all these young artist chicks buying ghost towns? Now I'm starting to feel like a loser that I never did that. I mean, me and my sister tried to buy one property and we can't even handle that. Meanwhile, there's these other girls out here buying entire ghost towns. Anyway, this new chick just bought it pretty recently, I think, and I guess she hasn't had a chance to make any improvements yet. Not that it needs any improvements. I mean, I guess for 75 grand, she got a ready-made roadside attraction and photo op with plenty of donation boxes on site. So I don't know what her plans are for it, but there's another guy who bought the acreage all around it. I think there's something like, oh, I already forgot, 79 acres of property around it that was like the rest of the parcel. And there's a developer from the Salt Lake City area who wants to build a planned housing community out here called Our Town. Kind of like the Thornton Wilder play. I guess if you've ever read that play by Thornton Wilder, it's all about small town America and how great things were back in the day. Some friggin' developer from Alpine, Utah, bought all the land here with the intent to build a bunch of houses and restore it to the old-timey way it used to look so that people, families, can move out here. Okay, you tell me what all these families who move out here are supposed to do for work. We are so far in the middle of nowhere. And when I say far in the middle of nowhere, I'm not kidding. I mean, Green River, Utah is back that way, like 50 miles or something. And then Grand Junction, Colorado is that way another, I don't know, 75 miles or something. So it's not like there's a grocery store, a gas station, schools, anything like that. I don't know if this developer plans to build all of that or what his plan is, but they're currently his plans have been stalled because of water rights. You know how that goes out here. Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. Well, he's fighting with the state of Utah over the water it would take to build a family-friendly, planned housing community out here in the middle of nowhere in Cisco, Utah. But who knows? The little planned community of Our Town, aka Cisco, Utah, might never come to fruition anyway. Wow, look at this old shack they covered with art, murals, graffiti. I guess it all depends on how you look at stuff. I mean, there's some people who would say it's a sacrilege to cover a cool, old, weathered, wooden, historic ghost town building with colorful art. I'm not one of those people, though. I think it's actually cool. I like when artists, I know this is kind of a controversial take, I like it when these hipster artists come out here and do interesting things with piles of what is essentially just junk left to rot away in the desert. Okay, this originally was a railroad town because the railroad tracks did and still do run right past it. So originally this was one of those little towns that just existed for the trains to stop and take on water. Because back in the days of steam locomotives, you know, these trains are traveling through the desert, there's not a lot of water. Any place they could stop and take on water eventually ended up growing into a little town. And that's exactly what happened with Cisco. Until the steam locomotive went the way of the dodo bird. You know, nowadays we don't have steam locomotives and trains don't have to stop to take on water anymore. So the town kind of started to dry up right around when that happened. And then I guess there was a uranium mine nearby that closed down. I don't know, a series of unfortunate events happened that led to poor little Cisco being left to just crumble into dust. And so I think it's actually cool that these artists buy places like this and help preserve them, even though it doesn't look like an authentic Wild West ghost town. I think it might be arguably even more interesting this way. And I also think this planned community, if that ever does come to fruition, would also be really surreally interesting in its own right. So if that ever does happen, I'm going to come back out here and do an update. But for now, this is what Cisco, Utah looks like. And it's definitely worth stopping at and taking a look around, which apparently plenty of people do. So much so that I think Eileen's aunt moved out here as well and still operates a little general store where I guess you could buy souvenirs and cold drinks, snacks. Unfortunately, it's closed today, probably because it's so dang windy. No one in their right mind would stop here. But then again, whoever said I was in my right mind, look, these dinosaur heads. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that her aunt is a pretty interesting person herself. And I'm bummed that the store is closed today, so I can't go in and talk to her, buy a soda, buy some souvenirs, and help support this project. Because whatever you think about artist girlies buying ghost towns, I know firsthand how hard it is to move out to a place like this and try to make it livable. So I salute Eileen. I salute the new ghost town girlie who bought the property from her. And I salute the auntie who's still running the old Buzzard's Belly general store. That's what it's called. The Buzzard's Belly. Right here in good old Cisco, Utah. My kind of